Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. So?
Jeff is here, Brother Shankara.
Oh, good.
I snuck in slightly late. I apologize for that.
Well, I couldn't remember whether you told me you'd be away for this weekend because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but I'm very glad you're with us. So, if I recollect correctly, Jeff, we're starting with Shloka 9.
Okay, that's a good bit of material ago. I think.
Oh, really?
I think we had just about wrapped up the Swami's commentary of Shloka 9. I believe.
Okay. So, what you just begin from wherever you believe then. Mine came up when I pulled it up, that's what it said. So, but I ain't going to argue with you.
Well, I don't want to argue with you.
No, please, you just begin from wherever you believe we left off.
Were we in the talking about reincarnation and karma? And I have page 119 in my Kindle.
Well, the page numbers don't do me a lot of good because I have this real old paperback copy. How about I start in the quotation from the one word I can't say, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad.
Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the Great Forest Upanishad.
Brihadaranyaka.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll start with this passage.
Avanti.
There are two states for man, the state in this world and the state in the next. There is also a third state, the state intermediate between these two, which can be likened to a dream. While in the intermediate state, a man experiences both the other states, that in this world and that in the next, and the manner thereof is as follows. When he dies, he lives only in the subtle body, on which are left the impressions of his past deeds. And of these impressions he is aware, illumined as they are by the light of the Atman. The pure light of the Atman affords him light. Thus it is that in the intermediate state he experiences the first state, or that of life in the world. Again, while in the intermediate state, he foresees both the evils and the blessings that will yet come to him, as these are determined by his conduct, good and bad, upon the earth, and by the character in which this conduct has resulted. Thus it is that in the intermediate state, he experiences the second state, or that of life in the world to come. In the Swami commentary, the intermediate state is, according to this definition, a sort of lucid post-mortem interval during which an individual takes stock of himself and is compelled to review his past deeds, together with the consequences they must now inevitably produce in his next birth upon this earth or elsewhere. In the clear, relentless light of the Atman, from which he is still alienated, he sees what he has made of himself. Obviously, for the vast majority of us, this experience cannot be other than bitterly humiliating and painful. At such a moment, surely we must feed shame. I'm sorry. At such a moment, surely we must feel shame, horror, and remorse of an intensity never even imagined during our embodied lives. If, therefore, we take the term death experience to include experience of this intermediate state between death and rebirth, it is very easy to understand why a subconscious memory of it should still be with us. It is very easy to understand why a subconscious memory of it should fill us with instinctive dread, a dread even greater than that of the unknown. Only the illumined saint can be absolutely free from fear of death, because for him, this intermediate state is no longer in prospect. Already here on earth, he has died to the life of the senses, and as a man grows in spirituality, his death fear will gradually diminish. This would seem to support Patanjali's proof of reincarnation. In any case, and whatever its origin, the desire to postpone death and cling to life is certainly one of the greatest obstacles to enlightenment. To cling to life is to cling to normal sense consciousness, thereby shunning the superconsciousness within, to cling to life is to cling to normal sense consciousness, thereby shunning the superconsciousness within which the Atman is known.
Okay, let's pause there before we go on to 10 and ask, are there any comments from anyone? Any concerns or questions that this raises? This is a very great statement about this intermediate state. And this is what the Swamis tell us, that when we pass from this body, the first thing we do is that it sometimes is just called a life review. And we see, and not only see, but feel within our subtle body the effects, first of the negative things that we've inflicted on the world, the people within it, and for that matter, ourselves. Not only the people, but the creatures within it. So the world, what we've done to Gaia, so to speak, by our presence here during the life just lived, and then to those living creatures, including other human beings, and then to ourselves. Then we go on to experience the merits, the benefits of the merits. But anything at all from anyone about what the Swami has said about why it is that we fear this death experience and why then we're likely to cling to life.
Brother
Attached.
Shankar?
Oops. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So Swami says that when he dies, he lives only in the subtle body on which are left the impressions of his past deeds. So it's not the memory of the individual past deeds. Is it just like some summary impression? I mean, what's the difference?
No, you remember, you actually not just remember, but experience those moments of your past life, the life just lived. The subtle body, the memory aspect of the subtle body carries every one of these sense impressions, every one of these mental impressions, every one without exception. This is what we're told by Swami Vivekananda and others, and in the Brihadranyaka too. So you will experience first those more inauspicious things that you have done, which is why Patanjali starts his yoga training with the yamas. Restrain yourselves from these inauspicious behaviors because they will be an impediment in this lifetime because they keep your mind agitated, and then they will be an impediment in this intermediate state because they will be an obstacle to your experience of the Atma. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does, but I still a little not clear about the meaning of impression. So I'm looking it up, and there are different meanings, of course, and it says it is idea, feeling, opinion about something or someone formed without conscious thought. And another definition is impression is conception, concept, idea, notion.
Yeah. All right, we understand you.
Yeah.
But your desire to pin these things down sometimes makes it difficult for you to receive the point that is being made. Everything, without exception, that occurred to you from the time you were in the womb until the time you left the body is left as an impression. The Sanskrit is more precise. I don't remember the word in Sanskrit now, but we have the word samskaras. But there's another, even more precise word about these mental impressions, how they the so to speak groove they make in the mind, in the subtle mind. The mind is not a thing of the body anyway. It only seems to be. So everything without exception. So all of those things that you read and even more. So does that get it?
Yes, that's closer to coming to a, yeah, thank you.
Well, see, the thing about it is, try, Swayam, not to pin this down so. Just think about the word everything that happened, every little thing. The time that you got a hangnail, the time that you got angry with the cat, the time that you and inflicted some fear and anguish on the cat by getting angry at it. Now I'm speaking of myself, of course, speaking of myself and Davy. What I have to look forward to in that intermediate state that has just been discussed is the feeling that Davy experienced when I lost my temper. How she felt, that the anguish and stress that she felt, the psychic pain that she felt because I lost my temper with her. So this is what so you can just think in terms of everything, every moment. And you first, we're told, review the negative, and then the positive, and then you go on to experience in its fullness the merits of the auspicious things that you've done, unless you're taking the path of the saints, in which case none of that is applicable. You don't go to heaven and experience the fruits of your merits.
Thank you.
The other aspect I felt about this, and
Hang on, Rajiv.
Yeah.
I think Haima had something. They both spoke up at once. So
I
hold on.
just wanted to I just wanted to clarify, confirm with you, Brother Shankar. It's about as long as we have sensual pleasures attached to them, we are moving further away from Atman, right? That's what
Yes,
it's saying. And then we're afraid of death also when
emphatically,
we're
because
attached to
we're going to
sensation.
lose, and that's what that kind of attachment and that sense of loss of sense experiences is what brings us back. That's what causes us to take the road of the fathers. We want to continue this life of
Reincarnation.
embodiment, even though we know that it's going to have its painful aspects as well as its pleasurable aspects. And that is, of course, part of our karma. Which is not personal. It's just something that happens with the body. It's the body that reincarnates. It drags the subtle body along with it, but it is the body that reincarnates. The subtle body goes on with or without a physical body. Rajiv.
Brother, I think whoever asked the earlier question, I felt, and obviously it doesn't make sense to pin down, and it's a useless attempt to pin down. But I mean, I share sort of the same desire, and there's somewhere I read about intention. Like, I mean, I might in my daily activity, let's say, if I'm asking for a certain type of food, if I have to make a choice, I just make a choice. I want this food. Will that add to my karma? And somewhere I read it's how much of intention you invest in those thoughts, feelings, and actions, and it's that intention which is the energy that creates that samskara. And if you make a thought, feeling, or action because you have to do it, but it's not very sort of intentional, then the amount of karma is less. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure about this, but this is something I sort of partly understood.
Rajiv, we do not understand karma. Karma is far too complex. There's much more to it than our individual actions. If you want to know the meaning of what I'm saying, read Swami Abhedananda's book on karma, the principles of karma. It's far more complex than our. But there is something that you said that there should be a clarification. We're told, and Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother both affirm this, that during this Kali Yuga, we are not held accountable for our inauspicious thoughts. We can have harmful thoughts for someone else, for ourselves. As long as they don't become words or actions, I'm relating this to your use of the word intentions. If those intentions go unfulfilled, if those thoughts do not turn into words and action, then no karma is created in the Kali Yuga. This is not true of the age to come, we're told, that you're held accountable for everything, every thought, every moment, you're held accountable for every passing moment, even if that moment was only done in thought. The upside of that is it's much easier to be auspicious in the golden age and harder to be inauspicious. This is what we're told. But this business of karma and our role in it's karma is something that happens to the body. It does not happen to your spirit. your soul, your Atman, call it what you will, because it isn't really your spirit, your Atman anyway. It only seems as if it's yours because it's resident within you. But it's so what we're going to be held accountable for when we pass from these bodies are our words and our actions. And those are deeply influenced by things, particularly the gunas, that are outside of our normal sense of control. This is what Patanjali's Yoga Sutras is all about, how to come into control of all of that, which Swami Vivekananda, talking about it, calls it control of your psyche, psychic control. Does that all register, make any sense, Rajiv?
Yes, brother.
Good.
Hari Om Shankaraji.
Hari Om Bala.
I actually, this one, whatever you said just now, it is wonderful, 100% correct. In Bhagavatam also, it says the same thing. Intention doesn't carry to the vasanas level because it depends upon how deep is your intention. If your intention is very deep, it leads into karma, action.
Exactly, because it will manifest in speech, which is a form of action, or other physical actions. This is why it's so important for us to, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita, to live sacramentally, offer it all, every moment, every thought, feeling, perception, action, all of it. Offer it all to the divine presence, and then detach yourself from the idea that you are the body and that what happens to the body is anything more than a manifestation of what you have just offered. It's just you've offered it ahead of time when you get up in the morning. This day and all it contains is offered to thee, O Lord, Om Swaha. And then you may or may not, as you wish, enumerate those things that occur to you as things that will be present in that day. But if you just start each day with this, with a phrase, your own, not this one. I mean, you can use this one if you like. But, dearly beloved Lord, this day and all it contains is offered to thee. Om Swaha. Om Swaha means Om, may it be so. And of course, it is said in the Chandi that Mother herself is the energy of may it be so. She is Swaha and Swadha. So you're invoking that mother energy when you say those words.
I have to say that this description of karma and reincarnation and how this works, and I know it's just one of many ways of looking at it, but this particular description seems awfully linear to me. Like this review of, you did this good, this bad, this bad, this bad, this did good, whatever. And I know what we were just talking about with this, the Kali Yuga and the intention and all that, but still this description that we're studying, it just doesn't seem to me personally that it works that way.
Well,
I think we're learning as we go, unless we're just completely unconscious.
you're absolutely right, dear. And this is why I said if you want to understand more about this, read Swami Abhedananda's book on karma, It's a small book. It's the contents of 4 lectures that he gave in Berkeley just after World War I, the University of California at Berkeley. And it explains how karma is so very complex and non-linear, as you said. It can't possibly be linear. So what is the Swami trying to do here in his exposition of this 9th shloka? He's speaking to Western devotees. That's who he wrote this for. He wrote it for people who are left brain dominant and more subconsciously than consciously reductionist in their thinking, simply because they've grown up in a scientific age that reduces everything to these definitions and formulae and this precision that I said to Swayam, and the same thing is gestured to with Rajiv. This desire for precision, this left brain desire for precision of categorization and so on, is part of this age that we live in, this time that we're living in. So the Swami is writing in that linear fashion. But if you asked him about this, if you sat down and said, Swami, this seems linear, blah, 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 he would immediately agree and go on. And if you read if you read the book Realizing God, and you read what he has to say there about karma, you will see that it's much less linear. He has a time to expound the whole idea. He gave talks on the idea of karma. And of course, it is not linear. It is not a creature of our left brain. And it's not personal.
What? I'm sorry.
Well, I said it's not personal.
Oh, right. It's not personal and it's not a list. I found real quickly Swami Abhedananda's Karma Yoga. The whole PDF is online. So I dropped that link in the chat if anybody.
You mean Swami Prabhavananda's?
No, when you said Abhedananda has a little book on karma.
Yes, yes.
It's available online as a PDF.
Yes, the principles of karma, right.
Yeah,
Hari Om Shankaraji.
Yes, dear.
It doesn't appear linear to us because there are 3 different types of karma, like prarabdha, agami, and sanchita karma. That is why even though when we do this, we may not see the results right away, because each prarabdha karma is arranged in such a way that we fructify in this life, but they may come at a later time, or they will stay in the, in the lock and bar, the safe, come in the later time. So that's why it doesn't look linear. Maybe, I don't know, that's what I'm just thinking.
Even those 3 categories that you just mentioned, Balakrishna, are not the whole story. This is why I suggest you read Abhedananda's book if you want to understand more about this. And it's a short read, but it's a very dense read. I mean, he really goes into this in detail. And the book isn't about karma yoga. It's about the principles of karma. Though it applies to karma yoga, of course. Anything else from anyone? This is the very productive way that we do our manana together about these shlokas.
You had mentioned that when we leave this body, we have a life review where we see the results of what we've done. We feel the results of what we've done.
We
Good or
experience it. Yes, we experience it.
would you say that we are born into this body then to learn lessons, to learn like life lessons?
Swami Vivekananda said this world, this life experience is a gymnasium. What did he mean? It means that we become more skillful, more adept, and stronger. Of course, we learn lessons, but it isn't as if we've come to learn lessons. We've come, the knowledge is already within us. As we become more skillful, more adept, and stronger, we're able to deal with the fact that that knowledge is already within us. And when it reveals itself to us through spiritual practice, we're able to make use of it. Many people, as Winston Churchill pointed out, stumble over the truth and then get up and walk on as if nothing had happened. If you do spiritual practice, what happens is when the truth is revealed to you, and it's no longer a stumbling over it, it just reveals itself because you've sunk below the level of sensory experience and chatterbox mind. And another kind of learning, it isn't really so much learning as it is revelation, comes to you. If in the silence of yours, below the sensory and chatterbox minds, mind and sensory body. It's all there already. Why? Because you are that. You are the omniscient. You are the omnipresent. You are the omnipotent. That's the nature of the Atman. And so these things reveal themselves to you as you do your spiritual practice, and due to your having worked out in the gymnasium, so to speak, you are more skillful, more adept, more efficient, and stronger. This is what Krishna says very explicitly in the Gita, and therefore you're able to deal with the truth, make use of the truth that is revealed to you. So it isn't as if you learn it, you reveal it. Does that make sense, Ramadas?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
So if we do have, say, a moment of anger out of reaction to being attacked or whatever, and we react back saying words, but then realize that that was not the appropriate thing to do and apologize and learn, is that like we are learning in that this mental gymnasium?
Well, the reason you apologize is because you know something beyond what happened to you in the moment. And so that your humility allows you to seek the other person's forgiveness for whatever they experienced. Will that mean that you don't experience what happened in this life review business? I can't really say. It's my sense is that you would experience both things, but that's just my notion. It's not even a formed opinion. So, but definitely it is very auspicious when you have been abusive or reactive to then in humility and love, to go to the other person and say, now this is in AA terms, Alcoholics Anonymous. This is the 8th and 9th step. It's called making amends. You go to the people that you know that you've injured by your actions, your words, your being the way that you have been. You go to each of them that you can identify, and it's all there in your memory. You go to them and you tell them, and there's a little routine that that AA uses for this making amends, and it's very powerful. But it has to be done in sincerity and humility. You have to be authentic. We have to remember also what Holy Mother says. That, and of course, this is not just Holy Mother, but Holy Mother makes such a point of it, that when you do spiritual practice, especially when you chant the name, which is the primary spiritual practice of the Ramakrishna teachings, when you chant the name, it purifies you. And Mother says, Destiny herself will strike from the book of record what is written there about you. Destiny herself. In other words, the goddess, the Deva, the Devi who's responsible for this record keeping. Destiny herself will strike. These are Mother's very words. Destiny herself will strike from the book of record what is written there about you. And so her devotee said, well, does that mean that the karma won't manifest? And the Mother says, no, something must happen, but if you were to lose a leg, you will receive instead a scratch. Why? Because the knowledge that needed to be manifested, that would have otherwise required you to lose the leg for you to come to the realization of something, is no longer necessary. But as Balakrishna pointed out, there is it's all there. It's all in one form or another of these karma. So, but Mother said that destiny herself will strike from the book of record what is written there about you. So, as Cindy pointed out, this business that the Swami discussed here, this that he wrote, was linear. But we know perfectly well that nothing in universe is linear. It only seems to us that way because of our left mind's ability to create the seeming continuity and linearity. It simply is it's a total fiction. It is, as Vivekananda said, it is incoherent. It is not coherent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else from anyone before we read on? This is exactly what we should be doing. I celebrate this so much, that we digest these things and talk with one another about these things.
One more question. Again, I don't want to keep hashing or sound.
Just ask the question.
Okay.
You don't need
So, if somebody you love says something hurtful, but instead of getting hurt, you understand that they're saying it because of something they're going through, and don't take it and forget, and then pray that they should not feel the consequences of that. Is that
Oh,
helpful?
that's very auspicious indeed, dear. This is the result of wisdom. It is, you have not reacted, you have acted. And this is the difference between being linear and nonlinear. You've received what it was that they directed at you, but instead of being reactive, you received it from this place of wisdom, and it's certainly not a linear response to react with forgiveness and then to go on and pray for them that they too come to an awareness that won't allow them to do this and thereby not feel the effects of their actions, that they too experience purification. But we're told by the Swamis and the other why, you don't ask for specific results, specific things to happen. You just, whatever is most auspicious for them, may that be what occurs. Because we don't know what is the most auspicious thing for another person.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But it is definitely a very auspicious way to behave. This non-reactive, and instead of reacting, act from wisdom, act from love.
This is exactly what Sri Ramakrishna taught to Vivekananda one time when, I think I am trying to remember the whole thing. When the elephant is going, all the dogs and everything bark. But so he asked, forgot the context, but he asked, what would you do if somebody hurt you or something like that? So Vivekananda says, okay, I think they are dogs like that. That's how they. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, no, don't go to that far. Just forget about them.
Yes, yes. How much do the dogs barking really affect the elephant if the elephant ignores them?
Yes.
Not at all. It's just something that the dogs are doing.
Yes.
It is of no significance whatsoever to the elephant unless the elephant pays attention to it. If they ignore it, which is of course what discrimination is all about. What deserves our attention? And the dogs barking don't deserve the attention. And this indicates to us a very profound point. Thank you for bringing it up, Paul.
Yeah, the other thing also, when Sri Ramakrishna said, don't go to that extent where you think they are dogs. No, just that's more important than, that's what I liked it.
Yeah, well, if you think that they're dogs, if you react in that harsher way,
sense, yes,
you have reacted.
Yes.
And if you just ignore them, because so they're barking. And Vivekananda did indeed learn that lesson. And later on, it had no effect on him whatsoever when people, and many people assailed him for many different things later on in life. And I'll just give you an example. Swami Vivekananda had a very close disciple. His name was Mr. Sturdy. At some point, they were together in New York, Mr. Sturdy and Vivekananda, and it was wintertime. The Swami accepted the gift of what was called in those days a greatcoat, a very warm, thick wool coat. And the Swami also enjoyed smoking cigars. And he didn't buy the cheapest cigars. He bought more expensive cigars. Mr. Sturdy decided that these two things were enough for him to decide that Vivekananda was not really a monk, that the desire to remain that comfortable in the wintertime, having this great coat, and the desire to smoke a fine cigar were reason enough to think that he was not a monk. And so he deserted Swami Vivekananda and wrote him some very harsh letters denouncing him. And he denounced him to others also. I mean, verbally denounced him to others. All this came to Vivekananda's attention. How did Vivekananda behave? Just exactly as Swayam suggested. He prayed, and in his response to Mr. Sturdy's letters, you can find this in the letters of Vivekananda. he was loving to this disciple, even though the disciple had denounced and abused him, and wished only the best for Mr. Sturdy. May you go on, and whatever is best for you, that's what happens. So thanks for bringing that up, Balakrishna.
Brother Shankara?
Yes, dear.
With the combination of spiritual practice and working with that language of compassion, one thing I have been reflecting on is rather than ignoring the other person, it's not always easy, but to understand that their behavior is driven by some frustration that they are going through, their need that has not been met, or their feeling, and that helps a little bit more more easily to get past that hurt and actually pray for them. Because I think of myself, most of the time when I've reacted unpleasantly, it's because of something that I've been going through. It's probably nothing to do with what that person said at that moment. So it could be the same for the other person too.
That's exactly what I meant, dear, when I said earlier that karma is not personal. It is not personal. You are being who you are being in that moment. And it has really virtually nothing to do with the other person. It has to do with, as you said, what you're going through. So it's this is good. Anything else from anyone before we read on? Okay, Jeff, we have some time left, about another 11 minutes or so. We certainly have time to read the shloka and some of what the Swami says, or perhaps all of it.
Well, we have two shlokas together now,
Uh-huh.
number 10 and 11, followed by a fairly short commentary. So maybe we can do that in 11 minutes.
Yes.
We'll give it a shot. Shloka 10. When these obstacles have been reduced to a vestigial form, they can be destroyed by resolving the mind back into its primal cause. And number 11, in their fully developed form, they can be overcome through meditation. And I'll read those again. Number 10, when these obstacles have been reduced to a vestigial form, they can be destroyed by resolving the mind back into its primal cause.
Which is another way of saying samadhi.
And number 11, in their fully developed form, they can be overcome through meditation. So the Swami's commentary. It may be found simpler to consider these two aphorisms in reverse order, since the obstacles to enlightenment must first be overcome in their fully developed or gross form. The way in which this is done has been likened to the washing of a piece of dirty cloth. First, the dirt must be loosened with soap, then washed away with clean water. Soap represents the practice of the preliminary steps toward yoga, austerity, study, and the dedication of the fruits of one's work to God, which are discussed in the commentary on the first aphorism of this chapter. Water represents the practice of meditation. Soap and water are both indispensable if the cloth of the mind is to be properly cleansed. The one cannot be used effectively without the other. When the obstacles in their fully developed form have been overcome, they will still exist vestigially as tendencies or samskaras. These tendencies are only destroyed when the mind is resolved back into its cause, that is, into prakriti, from which the mind was projected. This is, of course, the process of going into samadhi. Just as Brother Shankara said. So that concludes that commentary.
Okay, well, let's read the two aphorisms again,
Okay.
not the commentary, but just the two aphorisms, and then we'll see if there's any discussion.
Maybe I'll read them in reverse order since the Swami dealt with them in that way.
Okay.
Number 11, in their fully developed form, they can be overcome through meditation, meaning these obstacles. Number 10, when these obstacles have been reduced to a vestigial form, they can be destroyed by resolving the mind back into its primal cause.
So the reason Patanjali puts it this way, he says when they've been reduced to their vestigial form. So how do you do that? Then he goes on to say the way to do that is meditation. Mm-hmm. Very few people have the mental strength to do which is the Jnani's way, which is this simply reject and ignore those obstacles and consign, if you will, the mind back to its primal cause. Anyway, that's a discussion.
Brother, can you talk about what goes on when in Shloka 11 we reduce these obstacles to their vestigial form through meditation? What I think of is some kind of psychological process where as you're cleaning the mind, these impurities come up and then you kind of deal with them. Or in Southern language, you have a come to Jesus meeting about them. But well, I could be way off on this, so I
No. Let's answer you the question. What does it mean to reduce these to their vestigial form? You come to understand their pointlessness. You simply, through your meditation, you see, yes, there are soft ice cream cones. This has been a past addiction of mine. There are soft ice cream cones. If you look at them directly, you'll see that the process of having to find and eat a soft ice cream cone results, all of that effort, that small expense and so on, all of that results in about 10 seconds of pleasure. That's all. The first 10 seconds are the only, those first few licks on the cone, those first few bites, if you will, of the cone, are the only thing that is that is the pleasure. The rest of eating the cone is actually, if you look at it carefully, you see it's actually becomes kind of laborious. So what is this? This now becomes, do I really need to indulge in this habit of soft ice cream cones? No, I don't. So that little thing, I can't pass a Dairy Queen without that little but it's vestigial now. Vestigial means it's just there in its dormant form, and it'll be triggered, as Jill Bolte Taylor calls it, that neural loop will be triggered by the presence of the nearby presence of a soft ice cream cone. But it's only triggered. The loop doesn't continue, doesn't go through its completion phase, simply because it's ignored.
So, brother, how did meditation help you to reduce the urge for soft ice cream cones to their
Because in meditation, in the attempts to meditate, what happens to us? We experience those things as attempts to interrupt our contemplation, concentration, and practice of meditation. They appear in our minds, in our awareness, those things. And of course, repetitively, they come back. These are the preliminary contents of our waking awareness that try to interrupt us, that are our samskaras, our habits, or vasanas, as Balakrishna used the word earlier. Vasanas are actually a collection of samskaras that result in a pattern of behavior. So that together, a group of samskaras that together result in a habit or pattern of behavior. So you see these things as they arise. And the temptation, of course, is to get up and go indulge in that. Or say, well, as soon as I finish here, that's what I'm going to go do. And if you do that, it will not become vestigial, because you'll indulge in it, and then it'll continue. So it'll continue to come back and say, see there, and so they become vestigial or dormant because you no longer practice them, you no longer yield to their temptation, you no longer go down that road when that road branches off from the road that you're on. Does that make sense?
Certainly. And isn't it also true that if you meditate regularly and it becomes a part of your life, you carry the after effects of meditation into your daily life?
Amen, brother. That's exactly it.
So that when you drive past the Dairy Queen, you have a greater awareness than you did before, and you put that urge in its proper context.
Well, the hands don't turn the wheel. There's that twinge of turn into the drive-through lane, and you just simply keep driving. And because, as you said, the residual effects of the meditation are there. And this is why it's so important to start your day, and for that matter, end your day with the practice of whatever it is that you do. Because the residual effects of what you do in the morning will inflect the entire day, and that what you do at night will inflect the entire night. And so the quality of, and character of your dreams will change. So that your whole life experience, as the Holy Mother said, becomes purified by your spiritual practice. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for your very capable reading. Anything else from anyone before we close?
Yeah, I struggle with that same addiction. It's actually very difficult for me to pass by a Dairy Queen. In fact, even thinking about it right now is making me like want a cone. So I'm thinking what I'm hearing is the right thing to do when you say it is just keep on trucking, don't stop in spiritually.
Well, if that's what's best for you, Brahmadas, I was talking about myself. I'm not trying to tell you what to do when you pass a Dairy Queen, but I'm saying if you have that addiction and you want to stop it, the thing, just recognize that if I yield to it, the best I'm going to get out of it, if you just analyze, the best I'm going to get out of this is about 10 seconds of gustatory taste sensation, mouthfeel, pleasure. That's it. And so I've spent the time, the money, and the effort to get the cone. I get my 10 seconds of gratification. And then what? I've got the rest of the cone to eat, or I can throw it away.
Oh, you want to throw it away?
Well, no, you won't, but you could. But the fact is that the rest of it is really not that enjoyable if you just let your awareness rest on what's happening now. You have to set the cone aside, wait for a couple of minutes, and then come back. Then you'll get another 10 seconds because the gustatory centers will restore themselves to a, but we don't do that.
But if you do that a couple of times, then you have a puddle on the floor.
Exactly. Or a mess in your car. So that's, but believe you me, there are real experts out there in the world, marketing and advertising people, who know how to sell you whatever it is that is part of your habit, they know how to sell you the temptations of this world. Just go to the mall one time. The malls aren't what they used to be now, but it used to be, if you went to the mall and you just resolved before you go, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm just going to see what this experience of the mall is like. And what you see is that, boy, howdy, visually, the sense of smell, sound, everything is geared toward causing you to yield to that temptation to do something involved with sensory pleasure, adorning the body, all of these things that are just all body consciousness made manifest.
Or it makes you want to go run screaming back to your car and
yes. Well, that's what happens when you get to the point where going to the mall is an austerity. Because
I call it getting mauled.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I wanted to add something that another way, there are some people I studied with decades ago who insisted that, we never really get rid of our addictions, that instead of just getting to the point where we don't have them anymore, what we are really doing, whether we realize it or not, is replacing this unhealthy addiction with a healthy one. And if it's healthy, it's no longer an addiction, but that we are most successful at replacing it when we replace it instead of just trying to say, no, 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 I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that thing. And for those on a spiritual path, most of our old addictions are replaced with our connection with the divine, because if you look at it scientifically with meditators, it supplies all this dopamine and serotonin, and all these neurotransmitters just get all juiced up, just like stopping at the Dairy Queen. But it's healthy, and it's really what we want on a deeper level, but we're replacing it.
And I tend to agree. Since I've gotten into yoga and meditation, my desire for things like drugs and alcohol has just gone away. I mean, who has time for that stuff now?
Well, thank you both. And as we'll see, we'll get to the point in this book where, and it's not very far off, where Patanjali tells us what to do. And that is replace the lower samskaras with the higher samskaras. He talked about it in chapter 1. Then he's going to tell us in graphic terms how to get to this state of meditation so that we can do what Cindy said, and that is and replace what it is that we're seeking when we're on the outside with something much more profound and more satisfying that we find our way to inside. Thank you both. Anything else from anyone? All right, dears. Well, that's going to do it for today then. We'll start again with these the two that we've just read, 10 and 11, when we take it up next Saturday. Any final thought from anyone? All right, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. on Zoom, we'll have an open forum on the subject of bhakti yoga, bhakti. And it'll start with a couple of readings. Sri Ramakrishna's definition of bhakti, and then a short comment from Jesus about what happens when you become devoted in that way. So that's tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. And then it'll be open for discussion for the rest of the hour. And these open forums have turned out to be very popular with people. I'm hoping this is true tomorrow morning as well. So, oh Lord, take my hand. Oh Lord, take my hand. Without thee I may fall. Without thee I may fall. Oh Lord, pull me on. Oh Lord, pull me on. Without thee I may stray. Without thee I may stray. O Lord, take my hand. O Lord, pull me on. Without thee I may fall. Without thee I may stray. O Lord, draw me near. Seat me by thy fire. O Lord, draw me near. Seat me by thy fire. Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, take my hand. O Lord, pull me on. O Lord, draw me near. Seat me by thy fire. Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. O Lord, fill this heart. 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 Thou art my all in all. Thou art my all in all. Without thee I may fall. Om. Amen. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya. Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Abir Moiti. O dearly beloved Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Light us through and through, light us through and through with thy everlasting, shining presence. Hari Om Tat Sat. So, until tomorrow morning, may we all be safe. May we all be healthy. May we all be cheerful. May we all have peace of mind. May we be always in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. Any final thought from anyone? All right, dears. Until tomorrow morning, for those of you who decide to join us. Otherwise, until next time. And away we go.